When creating and working with servitors, there can be a great deal of confusion as to how servitors can be seen by the person trying to create them, and by others as well. Some even wonder whether your servitors should be able to be seen by others, before they can be effective. In many articles and books, authors write about being able to see their servitors, and even being able to see the servitors of others. But there is little explanation as to how a servitor, which is supposedly a mental creation, can be seen by the Creator and by others. It is easy, therefore, to get confused when you are just starting to use these magical entities, because there is a great deal of ambiguity when we talk about seeing something from a magical perspective. Some might think that seeing something is a pretty black and white matter, you either see it or you don't. And from a physical everyday perspective, many would argue that it is that simple, period. Such intellectual simplicity, though, while reassuring to those that need stability and predictable routine, when it comes to their perceptual environment, hides a complexity that is most difficult to explain using regular language. This is so because our language is structured to mostly deal with external physical reality, and to help create and promote a cohesive worldview, so that all those who participate in communicating with that language can agree to what is and is not real or true. Modern language, our language, unfortunately, is not very good generally at communicating the intricacies of the human psychological reality. This is so because regular language groups experience into large blocks. These large, relatively simplistic blocks of information ignore or highly simplify personal subjective experience, downplaying just how important these experiences are to human life. And of course, these internal experiences are key issues when we are talking about servitor creation and magic. Language's ability to trim down personal perceptive experience, and therefore awareness, is perhaps a necessity, because this process does allow us to organize and classify our world, a world that would be most likely impossible to navigate and share with others, without such features. Unfortunately, it is this trimming down and sifting of perception that makes questions like, "How do you see a servitor?" so hard to explain. Perhaps as we grow intellectually, our language will continue to expand, to include more precise and more subtle syntax, and a better phenomenological understanding of the subjective realm. This increase in complexity will then hopefully allow the mind to expand, without fearing a loss of sanity, which should then give us the possibility to perceive things that we had not been able to see before. With that in mind, to be able to see something then, from the perspective of modern language, can really be a question of whether something is real. So, we may ask then, when is something real? Is it real when you can experience it with your senses? Which senses? How many senses? Is it real when others can experience it through their senses? How many others? If I see a lemon in my mind's eye, if I see it being sliced open, juice is squeezed out in a gush. Is the lemon real if I can vividly see it? No, you say perhaps, but what if you and I were now to see it together, through these words? Still no perhaps, because a lemon needs more to be real, you say. But what is that extra something? Did your mouth water when you heard these words, and saw that image in your mind of the gushing lemon juice? Can a mere visualization control an autonomic response, like a mouth salivating? What else can it control? And so what is real then, and not real? And how do we express this almost real reality in words? Using the complexity in language available to us now then, we can say that, when we see a servitor, that there are a number of ways that we can see them. First of all, there is the imaginative way that we see them, when they are our own constructions, and we are in the process of creating them. In the same way that we may see that lemon I described above, or just like a child might see an imaginary friend while others cannot, we can see something that we are building towards becoming, something more. As a servitor does become more powerful, it will begin to take on a presence of its own, in a similar way that we may experience a salivating mouth, when we vividly imagine the lemon above. Another example of this could be had by examining the concept of a post-hypnotic suggestion, where we are told that there is a blue bear in front of us, and we can indeed see that bear clearly, even though others cannot see it at all. But this is just the mental aspect, and as such, science and the average skeptic will tell you all sorts of inanities about the mind, delusion, and rational thought. But this is only the surface aspect of things, what you are really doing when you follow this methodology correctly, and for that I cannot speak of others' methods and their correctness, only my own, is that you are manipulating and projecting bioelectric energy and then giving this energy intent. This bioelectric energy has a cumulative effect, and a disciplined mind can focus this energy and give it form. As he or she does so, this energy can initially be seen by those that can see auras, for example. Someone who is able to see auras will then be able to see servitors like floating glowing clouds, glowing energy clouds of different colors, possessing different kinds of intent and motion. An aura, as science is just beginning to find out, and the skeptic will soon believe without reservation, because their religion, which is science, will tell him so, is just radiation given off by living forms. So firstly, a servitor is an imaginative creation, most likely only seen by the mind of the creator. Secondly, a servitor becomes an intent that may be felt, or an auric cloud that can be seen by those who have the ability to see auras. Eventually, if the mind creating a servitor is powerful enough, this servitor will not only be seen as an amorphous auric cloud, by certain others with the skill or natural talent to see auras, but as a solid thing. To some sensitive people this servitor may look as solid as any object in a room. A servitor this seemingly solid though, would take a great deal of mental power and effort, and such effort is not needed to have a functional servitor. So yes, a servitor can be seen in many ways by the sensitive, but there is no need to worry about what others can or cannot see. If a servitor is relatively clear to you, the creator of the servitor, in your mind, then you have done some very good work, and your servitor is powerful enough to do as you desire. The clarity of your personal mental picture is the best indicator of how much energy you have been able to accumulate and mold, and does therefore represent how effective your servitor will be. A servitor should be seen by the creator of the servitor then, as a subjective form in the mind's eye. The clearer that this servitor becomes to the creator, the more effective that this servitor is likely to be. Aside from this, a person should not waste energy trying to make their servitor visible to others, unless this is the only real purpose for creating the servitor. Such a task though would most likely require a very long time, and a great deal of effort. A servitor creator should focus his or her energies instead, on having created an entity that is capable of doing the kind of work that is required of it. And for that, there is no need for others to see the servitor, but only to feel its effects. If you would like to know more about servitors and servitor creation, I recommend the book, Create a Servitor, Harness the Power of Thought Forms. I will leave a link to the book in the description below.